Jordan, as it turns out, can play a little basketball.
It's just second nature, like breathing.
Jordan Ray McCabe, born September 3rd, 1998. Long before the rankings, the offers, or the college decisions, Jordan McCabe was already famous. As a middle school kid from Wisconsin, his Ball is Life mixtape exploded across the internet, showing a tiny point guard breaking defenders down with flashy handle and fearless confidence. Millions watched, and many assumed they were looking at the next great floor general. But viral fame at 12 doesn't guarantee the same story at 22. McCabe would go on to reach Division I basketball and build a respectable college career. Yet the superstar future people once imagined never quite materialized. So what happened to one of the internet's most popular basketball prodigies? Let's talk about it. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth. Let's get it, man. Like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know who I should do next. Jordan McCabe is a listed 5'11" point guard from Cow County, Wisconsin, who developed a feel for the game well before most kids his age. While many young guards were still learning basic ball control, McCabe had already mastered the mechanics of dribbling in ways that allowed him to stay effective against players several years older. His handle wasn't just flashy, it was functional. He understood how to change pace, use hesitation moves, and manipulate defenders to create passing lanes or scoring angles. That early understanding of guard play made him stand out quickly. As he entered high school, he became the centerpiece of the program's offense, playing with the mentality of a traditional floor general, controlling tempo while also being capable of scoring when defense is overcommitted. His deep shooting range forced defenders to pick up far beyond the three-point line, while his passing ability kept teammates involved and made the offense flow through him naturally. McCabe consistently filled the stat sheet with points and assists, often dictating games with his decision-making rather than overwhelming athleticism. Over the course of his high school career, he became one of the most productive players the state had seen in years. Jordan would finish as Cow County's all-time leading scorer and help guide the program to multiple strong seasons, turning a normal, quiet Wisconsin gym into one of the most talked-about atmospheres in the state during big games. His skill level, competitiveness, and understanding of the point guard position ultimately earned him a Division I opportunity at West Virginia, where he would play under Bob Huggins and test his game against much tougher competition. Stunt number 1, not choosing a smaller stage out the gate. For a guard standing around 5'11", the margin for error if you want to become a pro after college is extremely small. Players that size usually need to separate themselves with elite shooting, elite speed, or overwhelming production. That's why the first college decision Jordan McCabe made out of high school became one of the most important turning points in his basketball journey. He committed to West Virginia, a respected Big 12 program under longtime coach Bob Huggins, which on paper looked like a huge opportunity. The Big 12 is one of the toughest conferences in the country, and playing there meant national exposure against elite competition. But in reality, it was also one of the hardest places for a young, undersized guard of his caliber to grow into a featured player. Huggins' teams were known for physical defense, experienced rotations, and a system that prioritized toughness and veterans over developing freshmen through mistakes. As a result, McCabe spent most of his 2 seasons playing limited minutes while adjusting to the size and athleticism of the Big 12. Instead of having the ball in his hands every night learning how to lead an offense, he was often fighting just to stay on the floor. For smaller guards, those early college years are usually when a player needs to build a resume. Professional scouts tend to notice undersized guards when they're putting up big numbers anywhere, running a team and producing consistently. That never really happened during McCabe's time at West Virginia. Forget about size, those early seasons matter a lot for players, period. The ones who earn professional opportunities almost always have a stretch somewhere where they dominate, where the ball is in their hands every night, and they're clearly the engine of the team. That kind of opportunity never existed for McCabe at West Virginia. After 2 seasons, he transferred to UNLV looking for a fresh start. But once again, it was another recognizable program rather than a smaller school where he could dominate statistically. In today's basketball landscape, numbers matter more than the logo on the jersey. If McCabe had chosen a smaller Division I program out of high school, somewhere he could average close to 20 points while running an offense, his path toward professional opportunities may have looked very different. Stunt number 2, a guard without separation. Researching Jordan McCabe, you could tell he always had a point guard's mindset. His handle was tight, his vision was advanced, and his IQ allowed him to understand how to control the pace of a game. But once he reached the Division I level, another challenge started to become clear. The physical tools needed to separate from defenders simply weren't quite there. At the high school level, McCabe's skill and confidence allowed him to dictate games. He could break defenders down with his handle, create angles, and make plays that kept defenses on their heels against that level of competition. But college basketball introduced a different level of size, speed, and athleticism. Suddenly, the defenders in front of him were just as disciplined and much more explosive. For guards around his size, the ability to create separation becomes critical. That can come from elite quickness, a burst off the dribble, or a physical advantage that allows a player to get wherever he wants on the court. McCabe's game relied much more on craft and raw athleticism, which meant that the window he used to exploit in high school became much smaller at the college level. It's not impossible, as we've seen guys like a Trae Young and more become an NBA All-Star at a similar size. But for Jordan, defenders could stay in front of him more easily, which made it harder to collapse defenses and open up the kind of passing lanes he thrived on as a floor general. Without consistency forcing defenses to react, the offense didn't naturally run through him the same way it once had. That doesn't mean McCabe wasn't a capable player. He remained a smart decision maker who could organize an offense and compete against high-level competition. But the reality of major college basketball is that many guards are skilled. What separates them is the ability to physically impose their style on the game. For McCabe, the gap between skill and physical separation became one of the quiet factors that limited how much control he could have over games at the Division I level. Stunt number 3, the shot that never became a weapon. For guards under 6 feet tall, one skill can completely change the trajectory of a career: shooting. When a smaller guard can stretch the floor consistently, it forces defenses to respect them the moment they cross half court. That gravity opens driving lanes, passing angles, and opportunities to control the game offensively. But throughout much of Jordan McCabe's college career, that part of his game never quite became the weapon it needed to be. During his early seasons at West Virginia, McCabe struggled to find consistency from the three-point range. His percentages hovered around the low 30s, and in his sophomore and junior seasons in the 20s. For a player whose role depended on creating space and keeping defenses honest, those numbers made it easier for opponents to play off him. Defenders didn't always feel the need to crowd him at the perimeter, which naturally shrinks the floor for a smaller guard trying to run an offense. After transferring to UNLV, the opportunity for a bigger role gave McCabe more freedom offensively, and he was able to play more minutes and become a steadier presence in the rotation. But even there, the three-point shot still didn't consistently reach the level that smaller guards usually need to thrive as a primary creator. Interestingly, McCabe's best shooting season came during his final year of college basketball, his 5th year. That 5th season was possible because the NCAA granted athletes an extra year of eligibility due to the COVID pandemic. By that point, he finally showed improved efficiency from deep and looked far more comfortable offensively. The problem was timing. By the time the shot began to stabilize, most of the key evaluation years that shape a player's professional outlook had already passed. For undersized guards, scouts often want to see that weapon earlier in a career when a player is establishing themselves as a prospect. McCabe still finished college as a respected floor general who competed at the Division I level for 5 seasons, but without that consistent perimeter threat developing earlier, the offensive ceiling many once imagined became much harder to reach. All in all, Jordan McCabe's story shows how small the margin can be for basketball players in general, especially undersized guards. He had the skill, feel, and early notoriety to build real momentum, but certain choices and limitations made the climb much tougher once the game got bigger, more physical, and certain skills never developed. He still reached Division I basketball and played 5 college seasons at West Virginia and UNLV, which is an accomplishment by itself. But after his playing career ended, McCabe didn't break through as a pro player. Instead, he quickly transitioned into his coaching career, returning to West Virginia as an assistant coach before later joining Green Bay for a year and currently Grand Canyon. So while the stardom many imagine never came as a player, basketball still remained his path in a position he seems he'll thrive in going forward. Salute, much respect, but for these reasons, his growth was stunted. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth, and I'm out.